At a time of turmoil during the Ming Dynasty, there was a struggle between powers. Three warriors were called upon to restore order. Together, they set out to find the truth, discover love, and destroy evil. Shu Dung, action director of Hero and Dragon Inn, comes a stunning swordplay adventure. Starring Tomorrow Never Dies and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragons' Michelle Yeoh. Iron Monkey's Donnie Yen. A Chinese Ghost Story's Joey Wang. And Tony Leung from the Jet Li blockbuster Hero. Butterfly Sword.
In a tradition perfected through timeless ages, her legend soars, uniting her people through courage. In weakness, she will find strength. In adversity, she will promise victory. In the face of prejudice, she will discover love. Now, relive the story of a woman whose selfless valor conquered the heart of a nation and created a legacy that will endure forever. Yuen Wo-ping, the world-acclaimed action director of the Matrix trilogy, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and Kill Bill, comes one of the greatest adventures of all time. Wing Chun.
By 1989, something had changed. Hong Kong action cinema was shifting away from the old-school training montages and stylized kung fu of the 1970s and moving towards something rawer, faster, and more physically dangerous. The wire work that would define the 1990s was just arriving. The gun battles that John Woo had ignited with A Better Tomorrow were still burning through the industry. And sitting right at the center of that transition was a young man from Boston with legs that moved faster than the camera could comfortably capture. In Teptet 1, we watched Donnie Yen build his foundation, the debut, the breakdancing movie, the first cop thriller, the genre experiments. Today, we go deeper. 7 films from 1989 to 1996, covering the years when Donnie Yen stopped being a newcomer and started becoming the most dangerous man in any room the Hong Kong film industry put him in. We have a cop thriller so packed with action that 42 of its 93 minutes are pure fight sequences. We have a wuxia film with one of the greatest all-star casts in Hong Kong history. We have a supernatural horror film that tried to be C7N with kung fu and almost got away with it. And we have the Michelle Yeoh collaboration that showed the world 2 of the greatest martial artists of the 1990s, sharing the same frame for the first time. One of these films features a fight on horseback lit entirely by fire, choreographed by Donnie himself, while Michelle Yeoh's close-ups were filmed separately and edited in later. Stay with us to find out which one. By 1994, Donnie Yen was juggling projects the way only a Hong Kong action star of that era could. Multiple films in a single year, different genres, different directors, always moving. Circus Kid dropped him into a period action adventure directed by Wu Ma, a veteran of the Hong Kong film industry, who had been acting, directing, and producing since the early 1970s. The story centers on a circus troupe whose world is destroyed when the Japanese invasion of China interrupts their performances, forcing them to fight back with the only tools they have: their bodies, their acrobatic training, and whatever weapons they can find. Donnie plays Danton Lee, a performer whose circus skills and martial arts background make him the unexpected hero of the story. What makes Circus Kid genuinely interesting is the setting, the big top, the acrobatic equipment, the performance aesthetic, giving the action choreography a different visual grammar from the cop thrillers and wuxia epics that dominated Donnie's output in this period. Fights that happen on trapeze rigging and circus rings require a different kind of spatial awareness from the performer, and Donnie brings his usual precision to an environment that most action stars would find genuinely difficult to navigate. Yuan Biao, one of the great unsung heroes of Hong Kong action cinema and a childhood friend of Jackie Chan and Sammo Hung, appears alongside Donnie here. One of those crossover moments that reminds you how small and interconnected the world of Hong Kong stunt performers and action stars genuinely was in the 1990s. From the big top to the desert, Donnie's next film took him into some of the most iconic wuxia territory of the entire 1990s, alongside a cast that reads like a who's who of Hong Kong cinema at its absolute peak.
这里是龙门关，龙门关是出关的要道。
八方风雨比不上我们龙门山一雨。
龙门山有雨，血缘虎下山。
要是出了人命，谁负这责？
杀杨大人的就是那帮吃人不吐骨头的混账！
柳叶标，
我操你爹！我的账本儿，老娘钱也要，人也要啊。那你也得让我看你看得通透一点。哼，呸！你以为我金镶玉怕男人看呐？哼！
我最大，这条黄泉路是你们自找的。
四眼驴，
别挡路。
New Dragon Gate Inn is one of the great ensemble films of 1990s Hong Kong cinema, a wuxia remake of King Hu's 1967 classic that assembled Brigitte Lin, Maggie Ching, Tony Leung Ka-fai, and Donnie Yen in a single film, and then proceeded to let them loose in a desert inn during the Ming Dynasty. Produced by Tsui Hark and directed by Raymond Lee, the same director who had cast Donnie opposite Stephen Chow in The Last Conflict 4 years earlier. It is a film of genuine scale and invention, blending dark humor, romance, political intrigue, and some of the most acrobatic wirework sword fighting that Hong Kong had produced up to that point. Donnie plays Cao Xiaoqin, the villainous eunuch who controls the Eastern Depot spy agency and spends most of the film methodically hunting the heroes. It is a character role rather than an action showcase. Donnie disappears for long stretches of the middle section, while Maggie Chung and Brigitte Lin carry the film on their considerable shoulders. But his climactic desert showdown against Tony Leung, Brigitte Lin, and Maggie Chung simultaneously is one of the most visually spectacular finale fights of the era. Sand blowing, swords crossing, bodies flying through the air above the dunes. Sui Hark and action director Ching Siu-tung built something genuinely operatic for that final sequence. Brigitte Lin retired from film just 2 years after this, making New Dragon Gate Inn one of her last major performances, and giving it a kind of accidental elegiac quality. Watching the film today, with that knowledge, the finale lands differently. After playing the villain opposite some of Hong Kong cinema's greatest talents, Donnie shifted back toward the heroes. And his next film put him in a love triangle that is arguably the most emotionally complex story of his early career.
At a time of turmoil during the Ming Dynasty, there was a struggle between powers. 3 warriors were called upon to restore order. Together, they set out to find the truth, discover love, and destroy evil. From Ching Siu-tung, action director of Hero and Dragon Inn, comes a stunning swordplay adventure. Starring Tomorrow Never Dies and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon's Michelle Yeoh. Iron Monkey's Donnie Yen. A Chinese Ghost Story's Joey Wang. And Tony Leung from the Jet Li blockbuster Hero. Butterfly Sword.
Butterfly and Sword is, by any reasonable measure, completely insane. Directed by Michael Mack and with action choreography by the great Ching Siu-tung, it stars Tony Leung, Michelle Yeoh, and Donnie Yen as 3 assassins who grew up together and are now tangled in a web of unrequited love. Donnie loves Michelle. Michelle loves Tony. Tony loves Joey Wong, while simultaneously trying to carry out a mission for a corrupt eunuch that turns into something far more dangerous than any of them anticipated. Donnie plays Yip Chung, the lovesick member of the trio, and it is one of the first times in his career that the film asks him to carry genuine emotional weight rather than just athletic spectacle. His scenes of barely contained feeling, watching the woman he loves look through him at someone else, give Butterfly and Sword a melancholy undertone that its wall-to-wall chaos of wire work and exploding bodies does not always support but consistently earns. Donnie holds the heartbreak with real restraint. You believe it. The bamboo forest fight sequence, where Donnie and Michelle Yeoh take on an army of opponents together, remains one of the more joyously excessive examples of 1990s wuxia choreography. Opponents do not simply fall when struck. They fly apart. The film has absolutely no interest in physics and tremendous interest in velocity, which in 1993 Hong Kong was exactly what the audience wanted. From the wuxia chaos of Butterfly and Sword, Donnie stepped into a completely different environment, a contemporary police thriller that would become the defining action film of his early career, and one of the finest examples of late 1980s Hong Kong cinema ever made.
你獨斷獨行，點同我交代？
我做嘢一向都唔使同人交代。
你唔好忘記，我係你個噩夢。我一定會查出真相。我啊，掌上。
Asian Cop. High Voltage arrived in 1995 as Donnie Yen was transitioning out of his pure action phase and beginning to take more control of his own filmmaking. He served as both star and action director here, giving the film's fight sequences a precision and intentionality that reflects someone who is thinking as much about choreography as performance. The film is a contemporary cop thriller, the genre that had been Donnie's most natural home since Tiger Cage and In the Line of Duty 4, and it puts him back in uniform as Chang Hoa, a detective pursuing a criminal organization through the streets of Hong Kong and into the Philippines. The Philippines location is one of the film's distinguishing features, where most Hong Kong cop thrillers of the era kept their action on the familiar neon-lit streets of the city. Asian Cop. High Voltage moves its most intense sequences to an unfamiliar environment, sunny, open, dangerous in a different way, and the change of backdrop gives the action a different kind of energy. Car chases and shootouts in broad daylight feel more exposed, more vulnerable, than the nighttime Hong Kong warehouse battles that dominated the genre. This is also one of the clearest early examples of Donnie Yen thinking about what MMA-influenced combat could look like on screen. The grappling in this film is noticeably more grounded and realistic than anything he had done before, anticipating by a full decade the mixed martial arts choreography that would define SPL and Flashpoint and make him internationally famous. The same year Asian Cop was released, Donnie entered territory he had never quite explored before, the supernatural horror film, a genre that Hong Kong was making very specifically in the mid-1990s, with one eye on Hollywood and one eye firmly on its own completely unpredictable instincts. Satan Returns, released in 1996, is the Hong Kong film industry's response to C7N, and it is aware of this. Cheerfully having a character at one point suggests that the villain has clearly seen David Fincher's film. A supernatural serial killer named Judas is hunting women born on June 6, 1969, removing their hearts in search of Satan's daughter. Ching Mi Yao plays the police psychologist who may be the target, and Donnie Yen plays Nam, the tough cop assigned to protect her and eventually bring the case to its extremely wild conclusion, involving a nail gun and a burning cross falling off a rooftop. Donnie is completely at home here in ways that might surprise viewers who only know him from Ip Man. He plays comedy beats well alongside Francis Ng's full-throttle lunatic Judas, and the film is genuinely funny in that specific Hong Kong way, where the humor and the horror share the same scene without apologizing to each other. The action sequences are efficient and punchy. Donnie's kicks carry the same explosive authority they always do, here deployed in a rain-soaked, neon-lit environment that owes a clear debt to Fincher's visual palette. Satan Returns is not a great film. It is a fun, chaotic, very specifically 1996 Hong Kong genre product, and those are some of the best things a film can be. It is also evidence that by the mid-1990s, Donnie Yen could walk into any genre and make his presence felt. Horror, comedy, action, wuxia, cop thriller. The range was there long before anyone outside Hong Kong gave him credit for it. From hunting the devil's daughter through rainy Hong Kong streets, Donnie's final entry in our countdown took him somewhere very different. Into the light, the comedy, and the company of the woman who was arguably the greatest female action star the world has ever produced.
In a tradition perfected through timeless ages, her legend soars, uniting her people through courage. In weakness, she will find strength. In adversity, she will promise victory. In the face of prejudice, she will discover love. Now, relive the story of a woman whose selfless valor conquered the heart of a nation and created a legacy that will endure forever. From Yuen Wo-ping, the world-acclaimed action director of the Matrix trilogy, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and Kill Bill, comes one of the greatest adventures of all time. Wing Chun.
Wing Chun, released in 1994 and directed by Yuen Wo-ping, is primarily Michelle Yeoh's film. This is her comeback vehicle after several years away from action cinema, and she is magnificent in it. Playing the legendary martial artist Yim Wing Chun, with a combination of physical grace and quiet emotional authority that makes you understand immediately why she became one of the defining action stars of her generation. But Donnie Yen, in the film's most interesting casting decision, plays her childhood friend and love interest Leung Pak-tu, and he plays him entirely for comedy. This is Donnie Yen as you have almost never seen him. Befuddled, romantic, hapless, mistaking the beautiful widow Charmy for the woman he came to marry, stumbling through scene after scene of romantic misidentification, while the actual Wing Chun dispatches bandits and protects her village with calm efficiency. His comic timing is considerably better than the film's reputation suggests, and watching him suppress his usual explosive physicality to play a character who is outclassed by the woman he loves is genuinely charming. When Donnie does fight, the sequences are characteristically sharp. A marked battle against spear-wielding bandits, a final fort assault alongside Michelle that Donnie also served as action co-director for. The famous sequence of Donnie fighting on horseback surrounded by fire was choreographed entirely by him, with Michelle's close-ups filmed separately and edited in. Two masters of their craft, building something together frame by frame. Before any of the films in today's countdown, before any of the star-studded wuxia epics and supernatural thrillers, there was one film that proved definitively to Hong Kong cinema that Donnie Yen was not just promising but genuinely essential.
In the undercover war against drugs, they operate unseen and above the law. In a world without rules, temptation is only a heartbeat away. When betrayal leads to murder, and murder leads to cover-up, an innocent bystander is drawn into their world, now on the run, and running out of time. His only hope for survival is two cops with nothing to hide and nothing to lose. In the Line of Duty.
By one reviewer's count, In the Line of Duty 4 contains 14 kung fu battles, 3 shootouts, a motorcycle joust, 2 interrogation beatings, a fight inside an elevator shaft, and 1 stunt involving Cynthia Khan dangling from the front grille of a moving ambulance at full speed, with real asphalt below her, and apparently no one on set concerned enough to stop. Yun Wu-ping directed. The choreography uses virtually no wire work. 42 of the film's 93 minutes are pure action. The rest is the plot, which exists to connect the action, which is the correct priority order for a film of this kind. Cynthia Khan plays Inspector Rachel Young, the Hong Kong cop who has come to Seattle to investigate drug trafficking and winds up protecting a witness all the way back to Hong Kong and through some of the most dangerous situations the city's action cinema had ever staged. Donnie plays Captain Donnie Yen. Yes, really, a Hong Kong detective who starts the film as an antagonist to Khan's character and ends it as the only person capable of matching her pace. Michael Wong is the corrupt cop. Michael Woods is the American mercenary enforcer who serves as Donnie's climactic opponent on a rooftop above Hong Kong's airport. That rooftop fight is the reason this film sits at number 1. Donnie versus Woods, with the terminal building behind them and the runway lights stretching to the horizon, is a fight scene that action choreographers still study. Every combination flows from the one before it. The grappling anticipates MMA competition by 4 years. The footwork is from a completely different era than the film itself. Watching it, you have the same feeling that reviewers described at the time, like watching someone fight from the future. Donnie Yen was 25 years old. He had no idea yet that the future would take 3 more decades to catch up with him. 7 films across 8 years of Hong Kong action cinema at its most inventive, its most chaotic, and its most genuinely dangerous. From the big top of Circus Kid to the desert dunes of New Dragon Gate Inn. From the bamboo forest of Butterfly and Sword to the rain-soaked supernatural streets of Satan Returns. What unifies all of these films is a performer who never seemed to be working within the limits of the material around him. He was always moving towards something the material had not quite arrived at yet. Wing Chun showed he could be funny. Butterfly and Sword showed he could carry heartbreak. In the Line of Duty 4 showed he could carry a film entirely on the strength of what his body could do, and make that feel like enough. Those 3 things together are rarer than they sound. Most action stars can do 1. Some can do 2. Very few can do all 3, and walk into a supernatural horror thriller in year 7 of their career, and make that feel completely natural as well. The question for the comment section: which of these 7 films have you actually tracked down? Because if the answer is none of them, and you only have time for 1, In the Line of Duty 4 is still the answer. It was the answer in 1989, and it is still the answer now. Drop your favorite fight moment in the comments below. If this deep dive into early Donnie Yen is landing for you, hit like and subscribe for more, because we are going further into his catalog. Into the films from 1996 onward that built the bridge between the hungry young fighter of this era and the global icon who would eventually end up fighting John Wick. The story is not even close to over.